Almost like that.
This first slide, that is not the actual size.
It's a little smaller.
All right, good morning. We're going to kick off this training with Cmeo, hazing, bullying, sexual harassment, reporting procedures. So, second out of instruction 1610 basically dictates prohibition of hazing, establishment enforcement guidelines for hazing, bullying. This instruction really doesn't cover bullying at all. There's a NAV admin that came out later on. Next slide. Definition of hazing. Somebody read that and read for me.
Regardless of service, rank, or position, recklessly or intentionally causes a service member to suffer or be exposed to any activity that is cruel, abusive, humiliating, oppressive, demeaning, or harmful. Coercing another to participate in any such activity is also considered hazing. Consent to acts of hazing does not eliminate the culpability of the perpetrator.
Alright, so what does this mean right here?
Squad.
Just because you agree with whatever's going on, like I'm the one being hazed, if I agree with it, does not forgive the fact that it is hazing, and it is still punishable. Next slide. I guess somebody else can read the red.
Intends to exclude or reject another service member through cruel, abusive, humiliating, oppressive, demeaning, or harmful behavior, which results in diminishing the other service member's dignity, position, or status.
Next slide. All right. So hazing. The difference between hazing and bullying. Generally, hazing is an isolated incident. It's a one-time occurrence, basically to initiate you into a group. Bullying is over time. It's not isolated. It continues to happen. Hazing can be aggressive. It doesn't have to be. Whereas bullying is unwanted aggressive behavior. Hazing is not intended to perceive harm, whereas bullying, it is. It basically diminishes the character of that sailor. Next slide. It's contrary to our core values, honor, courage, and commitment. Basically, it destroys the ability in order to complete our mission. Fix, fly, facilitate. It destroys our members' confidence and trust in their shipmates, and is destructive to the unit cohesion and combat readiness. Next slide. So these are examples of hazing and bullying. The top being hazing, and then bullying starting down here. Playing abusive or ridiculous tricks, threatening or offering violence or bodily harm to another, striking, branding, taping, tattooing, shaving, greasing, not really sure what that is, painting, requiring excessive physical exercise, attacking on blood wings, or getting your egg back on, making threats, spreading rumors, social isolation, attacking someone physically, verbally, and through the use of electronic media, which has now become a bigger issue. Next slide. All instances of hazing will be reported and investigated thoroughly. Once it is found that the case is substantiated, it will be investigated all the way to the skipper and passed, and Chief Russo will discuss those procedures after I'm done with hazing. Next slide. All right, so hazing's not, in the last couple of years, hazing has kind of gone by the wayside. The reports are way down. A lot of the reports now are coming in are from bullying. So I'm going to share, like, when I was in VR 58, I was actually a victim of bullying. I was in the avionics shop with my LPO every day. We chased me around with an open stapler and physically hit me with it. Got to the point where I didn't really want to come to work. I didn't want to participate. I didn't want to really be in that shop at all. So it kind of destroyed my morale. And he would do it in front of everybody, so it was almost embarrassing. It was embarrassing for me to even show up. So how did I handle that? Well, my personality type, I started getting back. So So I start taking mayonnaise packets and double taping them to his, inside of his work boots. So we put them on. He had mayonnaise all over his socks. I put thumbtacks in the back of his coverall pocket, so when he sat down to put on his boots and stuck them. So basically, he got angry with me for doing that to him, which eventually caused me to tell him, "Hey, I don't like what you're doing. Please stop." Once I confronted him to stop, it all ceased at that point. So he didn't recognize the fact that what he was doing was actually detrimental to myself and the rest of the work center. So, does anybody else have, or Pastor McKenzie, can you share your story you shared with me yesterday?
Yeah, it's 2008, end of 07, beginning of 08. Hey everybody, Pastor McKenzie here. Come up front so you all can see my mustache. So I was a trainee at the time, going through a P3 syllabus at BP30. We noticed a guy sitting out in the parking lot, just in the truck, just thinking, hey, it's the guy just waiting to go into work. Lunchtime broke through. We hear hey, we got an Orty AO missing. Guy's still sitting out of his truck. We noticed something on the dashboard. History on him, he's picked in the shop as like the guy just to kind of be the brunt of the jokes, quals, just always harping on him, and it wasn't like didn't have like a mentor of some kind. That led to, hey, base security's coming to his truck. He had a Mossberg on the dashboard is what it was. We were looking at this from the second floor at the time. And then went into the barracks, second class living in the barracks, and he's got pipe bombs. He's got more weapons and ammunition. And, you know, hadn't we said something, it could have been a lot worse. But, I mean, I felt it as a third class and an airman, just trying to, hey, senior leadership coming down and saying, hey, get your quals. There's a right way and a wrong way to say it, or just really how to motivate your sailors other than, you know, Thunderdome in the shop, doors closed, and you know everybody's kind of harping on you. But this guy felt the brunt of it and just decided to take the route of just, well, I'm either gonna pinpoint these guys. He also had a list, kind of like a manifesto kind of deal. But it was just like, hey, these are the guys that really hit it on me, and yeah, everybody got hemmed up on his side of the shop, and then the command definitely got knocked for that. Yeah.
So it's not without the realm of possibility. The truth of the matter is, we don't know the sailor sitting next to you, what he's been through, what he's gone through, or what he's currently going through, how he was raised. So these are all things that we need to take into consideration. I mean, we should be building these sailors up for success, not tearing them down. If they mess up, you know, it might be in order for a good butt chewing, but don't beat them down just because they screw up. You have to show them, give them the skills in order to build their careers. LPO supervisors, raise your hand. All right, you guys, in your work centers, you guys know and control the climate of your work centers. The responsibility ultimately falls on you guys to control that. How you set that tone is going to be how the sailors in your individual work centers are going to react to each other. So if you allow this kind of actions to happen, it's going to continue to happen. They're going to feel like it's all right to sit there and pick on somebody because he has epic hair for hair, or you know he's whatever. So. Essentially, everybody has a right to come to work and free from harassment and be able to do their job without any interference or interaction derogatory from other personnel. With that, we'll move into the reporting procedures. Slide.
Next slide. Okay, keep it here a minute. So, the Navy has programs and policies in place for many reasons, but one of them is to protect the sailors and to help us function and conduct our jobs as we should, and not have any outside influence deter us from doing our job and the ability that we can do it. So the Cmeo program, this is great information. You may see some of the same information on the slides I'm about to present, but you need to know about the program and the policy and how to report it. So there's a couple things which I'm sure most of you are aware of right off the bat of how to report them. So I'll review these and we'll go over. If there's questions, please ask. If you don't want to ask here in public, please come see myself. I'm taking over the Cmeo program from Senior Esteban and Chief Simmons here. But I'm also, while I have the audience, I'm looking for a good first class to be my counterpart. Okay? So see me afterwards or come talk to me and see if we can't get that position filled too. So with that being said, next slide. So the Cmeo policy, or the program itself, and the guidance, a lot has been changing with it. With me stepping into this and reviewing some of this stuff, changes just happened here in September, and I've actually how we report. So I'm going to go over informal, formal, and then anonymous reporting, but the actual forms got a lot simpler, and it's supposed to simplify the process. All right. So example are the forms that changed online and what we use. You always hear, maybe some of you are familiar with the /2, but there's also a higher form that we'll go through and talk about that higher level review. I just touch on it, /3 and /4. Next slide. So let's look at this. What makes us diverse as a Navy? There's a lot. It's our race, it's our sex, gender, our beliefs, national origin, culture, subculture, language differences, right? Does everybody agree?
Yes.
Right? Any add on to that? Okay. So we're different. We're not all from the same cut. Okay? That makes us unique and allows us to do our jobs. And each one of us have a different outlook on the job that we're doing. It may be a different way to do it, right? I shouldn't make fun of someone if they have a different way, or they say they have a different way. They come and their language or their accent, and they're getting made fun of, but they're bringing a good idea. They should have no qualms about coming up and having that suggestion to be able to do our jobs. Next. Next. What you think about education? Usually people don't say it. But it's a very different Navy that I know that I'm in today than when I first came in, and it's constantly evolving. I've got airmen coming in that have bachelor's already, or some that are coming in later in life, say have a master's degree. Or I've got some that come from my same cut to where I just barely made it out of high school. So we all have different backgrounds when it comes to education. Next. Skills. That goes along with where you came from, right? Maybe. What skills you bring to the table. My background, if you all don't know, I was building log homes before I came in. I was doing a little bit of sheet metal work, but that's what I did. I knew nothing about aviation. But we have sailors coming in today that have prior aviation background. Maybe they went to a school that actually had aviation classes or elective they could have taken. You don't know. You don't know what they bring to the table. Next. Experience. That kind of touches on the same line. Next. So, what gets in the way of all that diversity that we have and we bring to the table? Kind of touches on a little bit of your slideshow before. You know, with that bullying, that hazing. Well, here's some more points. That discrimination, that prejudice. That LPOs and the work centers, those slurs, those jokes that we don't get to hear sometimes as leaders that's going on in your work center. We got to nip it. That has to stop. That's not being productive. That's not meeting the mission. That's not fixed, flying, and facilitating. Is that pretty clear?
Yes.
Thanks. So what can we do about it? Next. Live by our core values, which Chief Simmons already said. Next. Speak up. Okay? You don't say anything, it's kind of hard to resolve it. And you don't want it boiling up to what the example was given earlier, where someone's hiding all that, and feeling all that pressure, and having that hazing and bullying, and then they decide to take it out in a manner that's not good. Next. Set boundaries. Okay? Next. Learn more. That's what we're doing now. We're together, we're learning more, you're getting somewhat of a GMT. But you're actually learning about the program, the policy, what to do, what not to do, and how we need to conduct ourselves here on board. Next. Stay engaged. Next. And keep an open mind. That blocking someone out, not having an open mind, being able to sit and listen, and not judging them right off the bat. That's huge. That's a hard thing to learn. Sometimes we don't grow up in an environment that condones that. So, you know, it's not as easy as you think for some people. Next. How can we address it? I really wanted to put this in here because I wanted to reiterate it again. Model and dignity and respect. Be a leader. All the way from when you first came in the Navy to where you're at now and to where you're going to go. Always be a leader. Know the rules and regulations. We have to know them. If we don't know them, then we're enforcing the wrong thing. We're going to get ourselves in trouble, we're not going to help the sailor, and we're not going to help the mission. So is everybody familiar with Article 1137 or heard about it? Should have. We've said it many times, right? Obligation to report offense. Is there any questions on that? I don't want to read the whole thing. But if there is offense being, you notice it, you're obligated to speak up and say something as a sailor and as a okay, next. Okay, so informal report. I just got a few handouts. This is the same thing that's off to the right hand of the screen. You can take one, pass them. Just so you know, I wanted to provide you the information. So with this informal, what does it mean? Someone give me an example of an informal process. What do you think?
Tell them to stop verbally.
Speaking up, verbal. What else?
Talking to the person you have an issue with.
Talking direct, right? Okay. Well, with the Cmeo program, you still have that informal and formal, but there's still reporting guidelines that we have to follow and that I will have to follow as a manager and report upline. Okay? And this is the flow sheet that's actually passing out to you guys, so you know what the process is. If you take a look at it, the informal report made to the member and the chain of command. In 24 hours, inform the Cmeo, program manager, or the CCS. CCS is Command Climate Specialist, just in case you didn't know. Okay? So there's a process that we have to address, and we will address, and we need to take a look at it. Even though it's informal, we don't want it to lead to something else. So as leaders, we need to step in and mitigate that. Okay? Now there's a lot of information on this slide. I just wanted to point out here, the program manager must ensure proper documentation of all reports, informal reports, by ensuring it on a /2. Okay? So I have an example of a /2 up here. If you have questions, I can show you all afterwards. Next. So this breaks that slide, makes it a little bit more easier. So that direct you've already given me, that informal process. Okay? So if I could, if you could read, can I get someone just to read the direct paragraph?
In person, by approaching the alleged offenders involved, stay focused on the behavior and its impact. Use common courtesy and ensure the approach is not disrespectful. Consider writing down thoughts prior to approaching the alleged offender involved, and writing to the alleged offender stating the facts and feelings about the behavior and the expected resolution.
Okay? So it's worded in a way to give you guidance on what you can start out doing informal. Okay, that direct is the best informal way to do it. But you may not feel comfortable with that. The member may not feel comfortable with that. So informal, third party, request assistance from another person. Okay? Ask another person to talk with alleged offenders involved to accompany while utilizing the direct approach, or to intervene to help resolve the conflict. think me, myself, as an example, I think I'd be more comfortable sometimes with having someone next to me. If I'm having a problem with an individual, and it's hard already for me to address, and it's become a problem, maybe I do need that outside help, right? Don't be afraid to ask for that. Don't be afraid to ask for some guidance. We're all here for the same thing. Training. That's what we're doing today. Training. Knowing what hazing is, knowing what bullying is, knowing when we have an EO problem. And down at the bottom, same thing I put as a /2 is updated here 2017, and I have an example of that up here. Next. Formal. Has the same flow chart. Navy, we love flow charts. Right? So I have direction of what to do when it comes to formal court. Individuals who believe they have experienced or observed, that's that self-reporting, harassment or unlawful discrimination are encouraged to report the incident to the CCS or the Cmeo program manager. All formal reports will go up to the CO. And they will be reviewed by a higher authority or higher level rank also. That is a change. Okay? So witness to the harassment goes along with self-reporting, or you actually see the discrimination, must report what they observed to the chain of command, to the CCS or Cmeo program manager. Take away this. Now this is on the bottom here, but a report must be made within 60 days of the offending incident. Okay? Timeline. I have examples of that flow chart in here. Pass around if you want it. I can make extra copies too. It's for your knowledge or guidance. Okay. So, within 60 days of the most recent incident, commanders may accept reports beyond this time frame if, in their judgment, circumstances warrant. So, if we see something that wasn't directly reported, as leaders and as commanding officer, if we need to address something and we feel that it needs to be addressed, he has or she has the authority to do so. Everybody understand that? Tracking? Tracking. Try not to make this so boring for you all. Next. So to take away from the formal, the preferred method of filing a formal harassment or unlawful discrimination report is the /2. But there's other means also. Okay? Those are the other means that you can actually do a formal complaint through the Cmeo. Actually going through another commander, complaints from wrongs against the commander, which is Article 138, the /7, report disposition of offense, and so on. So, but the best thing that we can do, what do you think we'd want to do as a command as GR62 if we can? Which type of reporting would we like to see most often? Informal. Okay? It's the best way to try to handle something. Not to say that we don't want someone's business being all the way up to the CO and we don't want BR62 in a bad light. It's not that. It's just that if we can attack it as leaders before stuff starts happening or we see something, we're obligated to stand in and do something and not be a bystander. That is the point that I'm trying to drive. But there are the informal and formal that route you can go also if that is the choice we need to go. Copy?
Yeah.
All right, next. Anonymous. So this, with the training I just went through here last week, anonymous. So as sailors, can you drop something in the CO suggestion box and do a report or address a concern? Absolutely. Okay. So with that being said, if you see harassment being done or unlawful discrimination, if you do that in the box, it's established in order to encourage reporting of harassment, unlawful demonstration, and incidences and received by the commander regardless of the means of transmission from an unknown or unidentified source. So if you do that, and you don't put the source, and you don't put names on it, you're addressing the situation, it's going to be looked at, but it doesn't turn into formal right away. But the caveat to that, anything that goes directly to the skipper is going to be a formal complaint. That's a little confusing, isn't it? To me, it kind of is. I would think if it's in a CO suggestion box, and I'm not mentioning any names, that shouldn't be formal. have to investigate it as a Cmeo manager and as a CO. Anything to add to that, sir? All right. So if the anonymous report contains sufficient information, who, what, why, or who, what, when, where, desired outcome, the unit of assignment for the alleged offender, and the complaint the permanent to permit the initiation of an investigation. The inquiry investigation must be initiated by the commander. So you start filling in that details, and we can answer that who, what, when, where. Then we're going to initiate. The CO is going to initiate investigation. Okay. Next. So resources. I didn't want to put in here, so the slideshow and the Cmeo training, in case you don't know, is very long. The training that Cmeos get is very detailed, it's very legalized, and it's constantly evolving and improving. So I think the slideshow that they gave us was like almost like over 100 slides. Okay? Did not want to inundate you with that, because the reality is when we sit and do these trainings, you really only listen to me to probably about the first 5 minutes, and then the rest of it is kind of, you know, Charlie Brown, right? Wah, 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 wah. Take out of it the hazing, the bullying, not treating your sailors fair is wrong. And knowing the signs and stepping in, you're obligated to step in. If you see it, try the informal. If it has to go beyond that, so be it. Okay? The reporting process, there's an informal, there's a formal, and then there's the anonymous. Okay? The forms have been updated. We have the updated forms. We have the extra information for you all. If there's any questions when it comes to what you're seeing or what you think, if it is something that's going on that's not allowing you to do your job in VR 62, talk to someone, please. Those are the resources. I can share these numbers. You have Fleet Family Service, Branch Medical, Navy Hospital. I've had duty chaplain, legal assistance. Even throw in there a hotline. You have our numbers. Master Chief, our 3 are on there. It's a direct resource also. Next. Skipper. First one.
Seniors must maintain thoroughly professional relationships with juniors at all times. This policy recognizes the need to prevent the use of a senior grade or position in such a way where it results in or gives the appearance of favoritism, preferential treatment, personal gain, or involves actions that otherwise may reasonably be expected to undermine good order, discipline, authority, or high morale.
Undermine good order, discipline, authority, or high unit morale. It's very important. That should resonate with all of you. And the last one, in a like manner, junior personnel must recognize and respect the authority inherent in a senior's grade, rank, position. This recognition of authority is evidenced by observance and enforcement of military courtesies and customs that we have defined proper senior-subordinate relationships. That's not new. I'm just stating it again. We have to be able to do our job. We have to be able to do it with our authority that we're given by rank. We shouldn't be doing it to have personal gain, preferential treatment, or favoritism. That's not being a leader. Next. I have more resources on there. That's the final slide. That will conclude our training. More than welcome. One-on-one conversation. Doors always open.
Take a quick 5. Miss